What up, YouTube? Here with a prediction video for tomorrow's fight with Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor. It will be for the WBO super lightweight title. Now, I'm gonna pick Josh Taylor to win this fight via decision. I think Josh Taylor is more fundamentally sound and has the technical superiority when it comes to pure boxing skills. And what's going to help Josh Taylor win this fight is catching Teofimo Lopez lunging and reaching, and catching Teofimo Lopez off guard and off balance whenever he misses his lunging attacks, and he wants to catch Teofimo Lopez out of position and when he's squared up, and that's when Josh Taylor could smother him and fight on the inside range instead of at a comfortable range where Teofimo Lopez wants the fight to be fought at. Teofimo Lopez, he's going to want the fight to be fought at a mid-range to a long-range distance where he could take advantage of his athleticism superiority and his explosiveness superiority, and it helps Teofimo Lopez utilize his reflexes to avoid attacks from Josh Taylor, who tends to lunge when he tries to launch his attacks as well, and whenever he attempts to close a gap versus his opponent. And Josh Taylor, he's a southpaw fighter, and if y'all look at Teofimo Lopez's last fight versus Sandor Martin, who is also a southpaw stance fighter, he struggled versus him, and that was a very close competitive fight that we saw with Teofimo Lopez and Sandor Martin, where that fight could have been scored for either fighters. And you look at the fight with Teofimo Lopez when he won the unified lightweight titles versus Vasily Lomachenko, who is a technically sound southpaw fighter as well. Towards the end of the fight, that's when Vasily Lomachenko started to find some success and close that gap with him and Teofimo Lopez. And Lopez, with him relying more and depending on his reflexes as his defense, he tends to get caught a lot whenever he drops his hands, and that's a flaw in the fundamental skills of Teofimo Lopez. That's definitely a department where Teofimo Lopez lacks at, and he tends to get caught a lot with his hands down. And whenever he lunges with his attacks, or whenever he tries to set up his offense and tries to lunge with his explosiveness, with his power punches, he tends to get caught a lot with good counters from technically efficient, sound fighters. And Josh Taylor is a high-level fighter. That's why he's going to want to be careful and wants to guard up and wants to make as many defensive adjustments and make as least defensive flaws in this fight, because ever since Teofimo Lopez moved up to super lightweight and lost the unified lightweight titles when he fought George Gambosis, he's been on the road to redemption to once again hopefully become champion, and he's going to get the opportunity tomorrow to be champion once again versus the former undisputed super lightweight champion Josh Taylor. Now, much like Teofimo Lopez, Josh Taylor also had a disappointing previous fight heading into this fight. If y'all remember, Josh Taylor, he fought Jack Catterall last year. Was it last year when he fought Jack Catterall? Yeah, it was. It was early last year when he fought Jack Catterall, and I thought Jack Catterall should have won that fight. I had scored a fight for Jack Catterall, and that was Josh Taylor's first defense as the undisputed super lightweight champion, and it was his comeback home fight over there at Scotland. And I don't know if he didn't focus fully for his training camp leading up to that fight. It was a disappointing performance nonetheless. And honestly, in my opinion, I think Jack Catterall should have got the rematch to challenge Josh Taylor for the undisputed super lightweight titles, because he should have been declared the undisputed super lightweight champion after that night. And Josh Taylor, he had to vacate all the titles except for one title, and that being the WBO super lightweight title. Now, I don't know the reasons to it. I don't know why Josh Taylor took this much time off. He hasn't fought in over a year. Now, I don't know if ring rust is going to be a factor for tomorrow's fight. And I think it's because, going back to talking about what could have led for the organizations to take these belts away from Josh Taylor, could have been because he wasn't agreeing to fight the mandatory challengers that these championship organizations had lined up for him. And he still is the WBO super lightweight champion. I still think he is the best fighter at super lightweight. The super lightweight division's got a good scene right now. There's 4 different champions, and Josh Taylor, I think, is still the best fighter at super lightweight. I remember before he defeated Jose Ramirez to become the undisputed super lightweight champion, he won the World Boxing Super Series tournament at super lightweight in a very close competitive bout in the finals versus Regis Progress, who is also a current champion at super lightweight. And I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch, a unified super lightweight title bout with Regis Progress and Josh Taylor fighting once again. I think I'm talking about Regis Progress, after his last performance where he won the super lightweight title, was a very impressive performance, and I think he's more deserving of a fight versus Josh Taylor, and that would have called for a more intriguing, compelling bout than this fight. Nonetheless, and I say that with the utmost respect, and Teofimo Lopez, he looked good in his debut fight at 140. However, as I said, his second fight versus Sandor Martin at 140, it was not as good as his debut performance at super lightweight. And that comes with when a fighter levels up in competition at a new weight class. Regardless of the fact that Teofimo Lopez and his frame suiting 140 better than his frame fit at 135. And Teofimo Lopez, he's got good timing, he's got good athleticism, as I said, and he's got good, sharp, precise counter-punching skills. And he's going to want to catch Josh Taylor coming in, because Josh Taylor, him being a southpaw fighter, he tends to step in with his lead foot on the inside of his opponent's lead foot. That way he could smother his opponents and he could close that gap and launch in some powerful punches while stepping in to close that gap. Teofimo Lopez, with the immaculate timing that he has, he's going to want to catch Josh Taylor in the midst of trying to utilize that tactic and catch him coming in with either a uppercut or a check hook. And Teofimo Lopez is specialized in those counter punches that I mentioned whenever he catches his opponent trying to close that gap and step in and close that space with him, and whenever his opponent tries to utilize those tactics of having the fight being fought at more of a close range. And Teofimo Lopez, as I said, he shines when it comes to that part of the game of boxing. And Teofimo Lopez, that's his one of his strong points. And Teofimo Lopez, as I said, he has his lead hand down always, and he uses the Philly shell stance as his defensive mechanism. He's good at catching his opponent's lead hand and probes and setups and jabs and deflecting that with his elbow and bouncing that off of his shoulders. And where he tends to lack at is whenever he throws his punches from far away, he tends to drop his backhand as well, leaving not only his left side of his head open, he also, whenever he throws a lead hook or his lead hand, he tends to drop his backhand as well, and that leaves the right side of his head open and vulnerable for his opponents to potentially and possibly land their shots. And Josh Taylor, another strong point that he has, another strong aspect that's a part of his game, is he's good at keeping his head off the center line and changing levels and changing the position of his upper body and his head. That way it makes it hard for his opponents to catch him with the shots that they throw. And I thought I would point out the stylistic factors, flaws, and strong points for both fighters, Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor. I already told y'all who I think is going to win tomorrow's fight. Y'all let me know who y'all got winning. Comment, subscribe, share, like, all that good stuff. And that does it for this preview video, y'all. I'm out of here, and peace.